From throwing soup at the Mona Lisa, and most recently a Monet, to cementing their hands to a runway, in-your-face climate activism is grabbing the world's attention. Just this past week, activists with Climate Defiance called out Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan for their investment in fossil fuels, $230 billion since the Paris Climate Agreement. Their calls to stop these investments were met by senior citizens wielding canes.
Brian Moynihan is one of the top 5 funders of fossil fuels causing the climate crisis. Brian, you are failing us and turning a blind eye to devastating suffering. We have one question. Will you commit to stop funding fossil fuels? Will you commit to stop funding fossil fuels? Brian, will you commit to stop funding fossil fuels? Just look me in the eye and answer your question, please, sir.
Led by Gen Z activists, these groups, including Riposte Alimentaire, Extinction Rebellion, and Sunrise Movement, are ready and willing to be arrested for a just cause. They even put it on their intake forms. Are you ready to be arrested to save the planet? Bold actions garner millions in earned media, with write-ups in everything from Rolling Stone to the Wall Street Journal and The Guardian. They are making an impression, with traditional media outlets earning millions of views on social media. But it's not just about making noise. It's about being heard. These nonviolent and well-coordinated efforts have earned groups like Climate Defiance, the newest organization on the block, meetings with the White House. Climate activists put public pressure on leaders whose actions or inaction might otherwise go unnoticed. It's not always an election year, and the planet is heating up so quickly that there's little time to spare. Critics say it's a dangerous gamble to call out the Biden administration in an already fraught election year. But with a recent study showing over 67% of Americans expect climate change to get worse in our lifetime, climate activists would argue that there is no better time than right now. Joining us to talk about civil disobedience is Michael Greenberg, founder and executive director of Climate Defiance, a climate activist group whose first activation was to disrupt the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me.
Great. Now, Michael, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, celebrities, journalists. Why did you choose that event for your first activation?
Absolutely. We chose that event because it is not okay for people in power to be whining and dining and laughing as the planet burns. We don't have time for self-congratulatory dinners. We need drastic cuts to our emissions in the next few years, or else we're on a path towards planetary catastrophe.
Okay, now how does this align with your overall strategy for climate defiance?
Yeah, so our strategy is to engage in hard-hitting disruptive activism against business leaders and politicians in order to shake the public awake and to make climate change a top issue and to actually stop fossil fuel projects.
Now, you have a degree from Columbia, so presumably you could be doing anything. What prompted you to launch Climate Defiance?
Sure. I started Climate Defiance because disruptive, hard-hitting direct action is the single most effective, single fastest way to force this issue to the top of the political agenda, force people in power to take a side and actually elevate this issue to the status that it deserves.
A lot of people feel helpless in the face of climate change. Can you tell us how one goes from a feeling of hopelessness to I'm willing to be arrested for this?
Yeah, by seeing that our actions do make a difference, and they do. We profoundly disrupted the person who signed the 200,000 barrel per day Willow project, and he resigned 15 days later. We protested against export terminals of gas in the Gulf, and President Biden put a pause on all new gas export terminals. So seeing that this stuff works is the best way to show people that getting involved is worth their time.
So you've disrupted multiple events. What would you say to those who think your actions are careless or extreme? Why not just ask for a meeting?
Do you know what's extreme? Extreme is building brand new fossil fuel infrastructure as forests go up in smoke and as glaciers fall apart and as brown smoke covers our skies. That's extreme. Why don't we just ask for a meeting? Uh, Meetings alone are not enough. You can say what you want in a meeting, but if there's no threat of real action, your words in a meeting don't do anything. We do take meetings, but we back up our meetings with hard-hitting actions.
And these actions do have positives. You mentioned one earlier. Are there any other positive actions that have come out of Climate Defiance's activations?
Absolutely. So we targeted Harvard law professor Jody Friedman, who is taking $300,000 per year from ConocoPhillips to serve on their board. We presented her the Big Oil Bestie Award at the American Constitution Society. And shortly thereafter, she resigned from Conoco. Yeah, another exciting success story. Yeah, shortly after we blockaded the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the president announced that he would protect 13 million acres from drilling in Alaska. So this stuff is absolutely working. And, we can't back down. We can't back off. We need to actually double down because these tactics are clearly having an effect.
Now, you mentioned Biden. We're in a critical election year. How worried are you that your actions will damage Biden's reputation with progressives?
That's a great question. What we're focused on is pushing Biden to do better on climate. And there's a lot more that Biden can do. Biden can ban oil exports and declare a climate emergency. Biden can stop the Gulf Link oil export terminal in Texas, which would have a bigger impact than Keystone. Biden can stop the Line 5 pipeline in Michigan. So by doing all these things, Biden could actually help his reelection chances.
Thank you for joining us, Michael.